For today's Bookmas video, I wanted to have a chat about all of the books that I have DNF'd in 2024. There are quite a lot of them because I've decided just to give up on books that I am not enjoying, to be honest, because there's no point in pushing through and then just rating the book 1 star, which is part of the reason why I've only given one book 1 star this year, but we'll talk about that in my worst books of the year video. I just wanted to go through the books that I wasn't able to finish and I wasn't able to power through, or I just didn't want to power through for one reason or another. Some of these I have quite a lot to say about, and other ones, like, they just weren't for me, so I put them down. So I'll go through my list and we can see what I want to talk about in more detail and what I don't. So let's go back to the beginning of the year. The first book that I DNF'd in January. This was quite an easy DNF. So it was Jane by April Lindner, and this is an old school YA book based on Jane Eyre, which is a book, Jane Eyre is a book that I really enjoy actually. I quite liked it. So I thought I would read this retelling. I've had it on my shelf for absolute years, probably 13 years at this point. So I thought now is the time to finally give it a go, now that I've actually read the original. But I just couldn't get into it. I didn't like the writing style. It was very old school YA writing style, and that doesn't always click with me now for obvious reasons, like we've moved on. And I don't think it's necessarily a bad book. It's just very much of its time, the writing style is. And I think I'm just a bit too old for it now, so I DNF'd it. My next DNF was in February, and this is one that I am still really quite upset about, and that was The Last Watch. So this was actually in my 5-star predictions video for 2024, and I genuinely thought I would love it. So this is a sci-fi book. From what I can remember, the characters are all on a ship, a spaceship, at the very, very edge of the universe, and they're doing some sort of sciencey stuff over there. I'm not entirely clear on what they were doing, but they realised that the edge of the universe is coming towards them, and that means that the edge of the universe is collapsing, or the whole universe is collapsing. So this sends them into like a complete panic. They need to get away, but the universe seems to be collapsing faster than they can move in their ship. The main character who I think was meant to be a love interest, he went off in a different ship and she doesn't know what's happened to him because he's sort of traveling around the edge as well. And that concept sounded absolutely amazing to me, but the writing style, oh my god, it was bad. My issue with this one was that, yeah, the writing style was repetitive, and I can deal with that sometimes depending on the rest of it. But yeah, really, really repetitive. I didn't click with any of the characters. Some of them were really quite awful and boring. The beginning, the first 100 pages of people kind of scrambling around trying to figure out what's happening, it just dragged on, and I feel like it could have been edited a lot better than it was. So I was really, really sad about this one. I wish I could say that I'm going to give it another go, because I did think I would really love it, because obviously it was a 5-star prediction, but I just don't think I'm going to try. I've read through some other negative reviews of it from people who have actually finished the book, and it doesn't seem like it gets any better. I might read a few reviews of the sequels. So the first sequel, the second book in the series, is out already, and then I think the third one's coming next year, or it is already out, I'm not sure. So I might see if it gets any better and then reconsider, but as far as I'm concerned right now, this is a hard DNF. I think it's the author's debut book as well, and she has released another series. So I'm going to try the other series just in case she just needed to like practice writing a bit more. I don't mean that in a condescending way. I just mean like as you write more books, obviously you become like more familiar with the craft of writing, I imagine. So I might see if that's any better, because I do like the concept of her next book or her newest series. So we'll see about that one, I think. Another book that I DNF'd and was quite sad about is Voyage of the Damned. So this is an adult sci-fi fantasy book. I didn't get very far through this one. I think I read about 50 pages. This is about a group of young adults, as in adults who are like 20 to 22 maybe, and they all get onto this ship, and I think some of them have powers or something. I don't really remember the plot, but again, I didn't like the writing style of this one. This one is also a debut. I had high hopes for it because again, I really liked the concept. I think it was going to turn into like some sort of mystery on the ship, but because I wasn't clicking with any of the characters, I didn't get into this. I'm a bit disappointed by it as well, because I did think I would quite enjoy it, and I'm really into sci-fi at the moment. But yeah, these two last DNFs were also sci-fi. I guess it's because I'm trying more sci-fi now, and I'm trying to figure out what my preferred subgenre is, or my preferred style. As you've seen, I've got 2 whole sci-fi shelves to work my way through, and there are going to be some duds in there. That's only to be expected. I just wish I had enjoyed this one, because I like the whole idea of rich people drama and a murder mystery on a spaceship. I think quite a few people didn't get on with this one, so I don't feel too bad. I also DNF'd Study for Obedience and Western Lane. I can't really remember why. I think it was just the writing style of both of these, so I don't really have much to say about them. I didn't make it very far through, so that's just something that I've accepted and I've completely forgotten about them. Yeah, I don't think I was looking forward to either of those. I think I was trying to read some prize nominees, so they weren't like high on my radar before or anything. I just thought I'd try them and I didn't get on with them. One that I was again really sad about was The Mirror Empire. So I have had this book on my shelf for years, probably 10 years, and I have read another book by Cameron Hurley before. I've read two actually. So the first book that I've read by her is The Light Brigade, and I gave it 5 stars. Absolutely amazing. I cannot gush about that book enough. The other one I've read was, I can't remember the title of it, but I only gave that 3 stars. So I was a little bit hesitant when I picked up The Mirror Empire, but I wanted to give it a go because I was challenging myself to read the bigger books on my shelf. So this one is a fantasy series about parallel worlds or universes, and the main character, her village is attacked at the beginning and then she is dragged through a portal into the next universe, the Mirror Empire, I guess. And I loved the concept, and I think I read about 150 pages and then I just got really bored. I think the plot was dragging a little bit, the book was just a little bit too long, and there was a reveal 100 pages in that I already knew about. I thought it was like, I thought everyone knew. I thought all the characters had already figured this out, or like it was common knowledge. So I was really surprised that it was a reveal and the main character was just figuring something out. In fact, I can tell you because I don't think it's a spoiler. It's basically she and the other characters had found out that she had moved from one universe to the other, but you already know that from the beginning. So there wasn't really much mystery or tension there. I did really love the idea though, and I do love reading about parallel worlds and universes. So it's a real shame that I didn't like this one, and I've enjoyed books by this author before. Yeah, I was a little bit devastated by this. Another big book that I decided to try was The Goblin Emperor. This one is huge. I bought it for my birthday a couple of years ago, I think, and I decided to finally get to it, but the writing style of this one is so weird. I really couldn't get into it. So all of the names in this Goblin Empire are strange. The writing itself is just very odd and unusual, and that stopped me from getting into it. I'm sure other people will get on really well with it because it is unusual and weird, but it just wasn't for me. I really liked the concept. So what this is about is a son of an emperor, the Goblin Emperor. He's like the youngest son and didn't really think that he would ever get the throne and become emperor himself because he had so many older siblings, but then his entire family dies. And so he has to become emperor himself and take on all of this responsibility. And he's got an advisor who he doesn't really get on too well with, and he's figuring out how to navigate this entire thing. And again, love the concept, but the writing style was just tricky and I couldn't get into it. I also DNF'd Senlin Ascends. I wasn't sure I would like this one, to be honest. I loved the idea of it. So this is about the Tower of Babel, and there are several different floors, and the main character goes on his honeymoon to this tower with his new wife, and straight away she goes wandering and goes missing, and so he has to try and find her and go through the different levels of this tower. I just didn't really get on with it because I don't think I liked the main character. Like, he was fine, he was just like really quite an average male main character. I didn't really get too engaged with him or the plot itself, which is a shame because I thought this would be a really good series to get into and get really attached to and follow the main character as he tries to find his wife. I just didn't really care. So yeah, DNF'd that one. I also DNF'd The Wilds by Sarah Pearse, which I am a bit disappointed about because I've really enjoyed this author's other books in this series. There was The Sanatorium and The Retreat, I think. Really liked those two, and this third one follows the main character, but this one was way too much back and forth for me. There was a lot of timeline jumping. It felt very disconnected, although I'm sure like the plots would have come together at some point. Of course, I just felt like it was really jarring to jump back and forth between the timelines and to different characters as well. So I didn't love this one, and I've decided to DNF it, and I'm really, really sad because I thought I would like it because I've liked her other books, but what can you do? I DNF'd William really, really quickly. I gave it like, I think 10 pages and decided it wasn't for me. It was partly the format of the book, so I read it as a physical book, or started it as a physical book, and the font was huge and the book was quite short itself, so I feel like it was more of a novella, and I'm not a massive fan of short stories, to be honest. But I think my problem with this was just, again, the characters. I just couldn't connect with them in the first 10 pages. The writing style was just mediocre in my opinion, so DNF'd it. I also DNF'd Murder Road, and the reason for this one was I just wasn't getting interested in the plot. I read, again, I think like 70 to 100 pages of this. This is about a couple. I can't remember if they're on their honeymoon or if they're just going on a trip, and they get lost and have to go down a different route than expected. Something really creepy happens on the road. I can't remember exactly what. They pick up a woman and take her to a motel or a police station or something. And I think that's about as far as I got. It reminded me, the concept reminded me of an episode of Supernatural. In fact, it reminded me of the pilot of Supernatural. And I was quite interested in it because of that, because Supernatural is one of my all-time favourite shows. But I didn't get on with the characters, the writing style, I don't know what it was. I've enjoyed a book by Simone St. James before, but only one, so I'm not really sure if she's an author for me yet. I'll try a few more of her books and see what I think. I DNF Twisted Love by Anna Huang because I didn't like the love interest. I don't have anything more to say on that. He was awful, and obviously in a romance book you want to like the love interest. It's quite important. So I DNF this one. And then finally, my last DNF of the year so far. I suppose there's still half a month left to go, but my last DNF, I hope, of the year was Love Light Farms. This one, I'm sure you've all heard of it, is about a woman who is trying to save her Christmas tree farm because the finances aren't going well, it's going under. And so she starts fake dating her best friend because if they are fake dating, she hopes to catch the attention of, I think, an influencer, like an Instagrammer or something, who will come and do a feature on the farm and hopefully bring in more customers. So I really liked that concept of trying to save this Christmas tree farm while also doing fake dating, but it was more fake dating than saving the Christmas tree farm. I think I made it like 70 pages in and it was all just the fake dating stuff. And not only fake dating, but the main character already knows that she likes this guy. So it wasn't like ever going to get to the realization that she really loves him. Like she already knew that she fancied him. And he obviously like fancied her as well. There was no question in that. All of the townspeople also were rooting for this couple in the first 70 pages. So, oh yeah, I knew that you'd get together. Like they didn't try to keep it a secret, or they did try, but they couldn't straight away. And I just thought there was way too much focus on the romance and nothing at all in the first 70 pages about this Christmas tree farm. I was hoping for a bit more drama and action in there about saving the farm with the fake dating thrown on top, but instead it was fake dating with a little bit of Christmas tree stuff probably towards the end because there wasn't much in the beginning. And so yeah, the balance was just off for me, so I didn't like it. So I've decided to DNF it. I don't know if I'll read any of the other books in the series. Let me know if you think I should, if they're better. But this one was not for me. So those are my DNFs of the year. There are some quite popular ones in there and some really, really disappointing ones. I wish it wasn't like that, but that was unfortunately the case. Let me know in the comments below if you've ever DNF'd a book that you were dying to read, like really, really looking forward to, and that you were convinced that you would love, and you ended up being really wrong about that. Tell me, I would love to know. Thank you for watching this video. I'll speak to you all in the next one. Bye.